So starting with breakfast, the first thing we need, quinoa. Let's get to it. I'm going to get all the ingredients out for the recipe here and break it down step by step as I would actually cook it each night for the next day. So this is breakfast, and typically I eat this after cardio. So I'll do cardio for about 45 minutes to an hour, moderate to a fairly high intensity, but normally I'm on my phone answering all of the tweets and emails, so it's regiment for me. I mentioned about weighing out the foods, and this is where a scale comes in. Now, if you don't want to weigh your foods all of the time, just weigh it like for the first week and just eyeball the measurements. You know, use your hand or anything like half a coffee mug just to get used to the measurements. Like I said, this actually equates to 30% of my total carbohydrates. A few more things. Protein. I do add protein, and as many of you know, I'm now not sponsored by any supplement company, so I have the freedom to use any protein I want, and I've actually switched and used beef protein. Not necessarily showing you the brand, but you know, there's a ton out there. This is beef protein. Reason I've switched from whey is just personally I find whey to sometimes upset, disrupt my stomach, and begin to have digestion problems. Beef protein, I don't find that, and the name itself, it doesn't taste like beef. It's like a beef protein hydrolyzed from that of beef. It's not like a steak mashed down. So we've got that. A few more things going in. Really do have to try making this. It's honestly my favorite meal. First step is to put, got here 82 grams of quinoa. Many times I use oats, making like porridge oats in the morning. But I've done that for every competition over the past 6 years, and you know, sometimes you just want to change. So that's another great thing about that program, is it allows me to select different foods and play around with recipes and still keep the same macronutrients. So I guess on one hand, if it fits your macros and it's the right food at the right time with the right portion, it's okay. But I'm not talking about adding in a hamburger or a beef burger instead of porridge oats. It's not the same thing. Now I look at this as more precision nutrition. At the end of the day, it's just work to me, so I have some understanding. I'm not too worried if it's a gram or two over, he says as he takes a bit out, but the more consistent I can be, the better or the greater the effect when I start to manipulate a few things around. You know, if you're 5, even 10 grams here and there, or you miss a meal every now and again, it's fine. As long as you're doing like 95%, you're gonna see some great results. If you're just eyeballing portions out and not really taking the measurements in, your body may be 200, 300, 500 calories up and down throughout the week, and you're not gonna have that consistency. This goes on the stove here. I'm going to put it on a low heat and just add in some water. I want you to see how much water I actually put in there. So it's about 4 times as much. It takes about maybe 10 minutes in total to cook. I actually prefer cooking it the night before and eating it cold the next day. Like I said, that's usually because I'm at the gym, finishing up my cardio, and within 10 minutes after cardio, I want to come back and cook. Now to make up the protein, I already mentioned we got the beef protein. I actually have one pre-made. This is how it's going to turn out. May not look that appetizing, but it's a mix of coconut, honey in there, cinnamon, stevia, got some raisins for some extra natural sugars early in the morning to help bring our blood sugar level up. It's one of the best recipes I've ever made. So while that's cooking, we're going to sort out the rest. I used 2 eggs. So as we saw on the plan, it's about 33 grams of egg white per medium egg. A lot of people ask me about the yolks. Do you throw the yolks away? The answer is yes. It's not bad, it's just that I can get better quality fats elsewhere. Plus they add in extra calories that I want to save or at least get from better quality food. So again, always remembering FTP, foods, timing, and portion. Am I getting the best of all three? 2 eggs. I'm gonna add some raisins too. These are just natural organic raisins. And with this, I've played around. You can add blueberries, you can add fruit, chopped up dates, and it's fine in the morning, even if you're dieting for a competition like I am. And yes, I do have carbohydrates and sugars after cardio, but it's part of my breakfast. And the reason for that is it helps bring my blood sugar level back up to that normal level to allow my body to metabolize foods at normal rate. So I know from having done this many times, I get 20 grams. Which gives me about 16, 17 grams of sugar. So this is really the fast acting sugar coming from the raisins. I'm gonna put those to one side for now and add them in towards the end. You know, a lot of the time I'll just put everything in the pan and just let it cook, but I found with the quinoa, let the quinoa cook first and then start to add the other ingredients in. Next up, I'm gonna weigh out that beef protein. So having a cupboard full of Tupperware can really come in useful. Beef protein, I've weighed out that between the 2 eggs and this, I need to make up 45 grams of protein. So this weighs in for 36 grams of beef protein. So zero it out. And again, this goes in towards the end of the quinoa. Also played around with some raw protein and pea-based proteins. And again, to really get the full benefit of the nutrients in those proteins, you don't want to cook them. So I add them in pretty much once the quinoa has been cooked. They can go in there. They can all go in together. Cinnamon. This stuff is amazing. I put it on yams, sweet potatoes, oats, in shakes. I actually add almost a tablespoon in there. A little bit less, maybe a teaspoon. But this is pretty potent stuff. I don't weigh that out. It's got no calories. Next up, vanilla extract. Just to add some flavor. A little bit of this is okay, like half a capful. Pretty strong too. And finally into this recipe, stevia. Unlike Splenda, which is a substitute for sugar, artificial too, this is it's actually from a plant leaf. And at least your body, it's got a little bit of carbohydrates in there, real carbohydrates, less than 1, but it's about 300 times sweeter than sugar. Now I put 2 packets in there. It's actually been kind of diluted, if you like, so that we don't just end up putting way too much sugar in there. Quinoa's been cooking for about 5 minutes now, and as you can see, it's not fully cooked and there's still some water in there, but that's at a good stage for us to move on to the next part of this breakfast recipe. If it's too dry and we add the protein powder, it's just gonna kind of all clump together. It's not gonna taste good either. But we don't want it too watery because then it's like drinking soup. So that's good there. I'm gonna add the protein last. 2 egg whites go in. I'm gonna crack these on the side. Jiggle about the yolk. You know, if the yolk does go in there, it's fine. You know, if you're neurotic like me, you might wanna scoop it out with a spoon. But the egg white is gonna cook quickly. So either turn the heat off if the quinoa is nearly cooked, it will still continue to cook a little in the water, or get a wooden spoon or something that's not going to scratch the pot. Just start to mix everything in. I love my oats and whey in the morning, but I've actually switched to this now. I last for the past 2 weeks, and I'm currently 8 weeks out from my show, and I'm already looking like I'm a week or 2 out. So whether it's this or just the diet strategy, something I'm doing different is having an effect. So I'm going to leave the egg whites in there. We've got the honey to go in and a little bit of the coconut oil. This is really for my fats. I said I'm going to have my fats consistently throughout the day. And besides the small amount of fat in the beef protein, I really don't have much more fats. Now, if you want to weigh this out, just to get an idea of how much, I zero out the spoon. And according to my printout, I need just 2 grams. So, kind of trial and error the first time around. Just go in at that much. Spoons already comes to 0. See, so it's about 1/3 of that. Good enough, 3. A little bit is going to be left on the spoon. It really is about consistency. Like I said, if you're a couple of grams off, that's fine. But I would recommend getting a good set of scales. And depending whether you normally work in grams or ounces, I recommend working in grams from now on because you can be that much more accurate than ounces and points and halves and everything. Okay, we're going to turn the heat back on now. Low heat. And for the next minute or so, I am going to add the protein. Now, it's not too hot that it's going to cook and degrade the actual quality of this protein. It just means it can soak up some of that water. And this is where the recipe really starts to come together. This particular one, which I get from here in the States in the vitamin store, you might be able to get this online. In fact, I'm sure you can. This is by Olympian Labs. It's the only beef protein I've got so far, but it's pretty good. Great thing about it is that it's only got, I think, 4 main ingredients. Check the back of your protein powder and see how many different ingredients it actually has. Obviously, the fewer, the better in most cases. So now it's starting to look more like, I don't know, kind of like Cocoa Pops, chocolate Cocoa Pops, especially when I was little. That's all I ate. That's nearly done. I'm going to leave that to cook for just a few more minutes. And how I store it is, again, back to our Tupperware. I'm sure if you wanted to really make the best gains you can in your physique, you're not going to be at home all the time to be able to cook and eat as and when. So a lot of the time, preparation is key, and just comes down to finding time to be able to cook ahead, often the night before or even a couple of days in advance, so you're not cooking every night. So you have the foods ready. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat off. You can see now the consistency. It's going to soak up that water a little bit more and the quinoa is going to expand. But it tastes like peanut butter. I'm not even kidding, and I love peanut butter. So this is a great breakfast treat. I'm going to keep that there. Breakfast is going to go in there. The final thing to add is a little bit of raw honey. Again, great antioxidant this, and also get some simple sugars in along with those raisins. As long as I don't put it in the fridge straight away, I let it cool in the Tupperware, it's going to be just fine. Now, of course, if you do try this and find it's not for you, simply use the program and work out instead of quinoa, add in oats, and maybe you just want oats, a couple of egg whites, or even 1 or 2 yolk, and some protein, whey protein, beef protein, whatever it might be. Long as whatever foods you choose here, and the amounts that admittedly you have to toggle and play around with, the numbers at the bottom match the numbers shown up here, you can pretty much have any foods you want in here. Bearing in mind, top quality food source. If you add a burger in there or potato fries, crisps, you know, your fat content is going to be way off compared to your protein and carbs. Honey, final thing, and then that's breakfast done. And I've got 15 grams of that, giving us 12 grams of sugar. Now, normally when I cook all my meals, I don't do this. I know from having done it for weeks on end how much is about right. So understand, please, that I'm just doing this for the video, hence why it's taking longer. 10 grams, so a tiny bit more raw honey. Perfect. So pretty much a teaspoon. That goes on top there. I now leave this to cool. Keep it in the fridge. Couldn't help myself. I love honey. And then in the morning, I'll grab this out, keep it in my 6-pack bag, or just grab it in a bag, and off to the gym I go. That's breakfast. Total content there: 44.6 grams protein, 90 grams of carbs, of which only a small percent, probably 30% of that total, made up of sugars, and 7 grams of fat. And if you look at the numbers shown in red, those are the numbers that worked out based on my original, calculations, and they fit perfectly. So now let's move on to the next meals. 2, 3, and 4 are all the same macronutrient split, the calorie intake, so I'm just gonna make the same 3 meals.